Welcome everyone to the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc on Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. The municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges it is located on Treaty 21 territory. We are thankful to generations of people who have taken care of this land, including Chippewa the Thames First Nation, the Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the Oneida Nation of the Thames. A roll call, all are present other than Councillor Hippel, who is absent with notice. Motion to approve this evening's agenda. Councillor Kennis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? That motion carries. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Okay. Seeing none, before we begin, I said I would do this. I'm not in formal attire tonight, and last year the mayor had to do this, so I should show everyone. I lost a bet. So the Strathroy Jets lost their series to the Elvinston Killer Bees, and Councillor Derbyshire, I tried to get the jersey that said Derbyshire Farms on it, but it was unavailable. But so when you make a bet, you have to keep your promise. So I'm wearing this. Last year the mayor of Warwick had to wear the Jets jersey, so that's why I'm not in formal attire tonight. Any delegations tonight? Before we begin, we have one 10-year service notice, Paul Lattimore. Paul is our manager of recreation and culture in our community development services department, and he has been with us for 10 years. So I don't see Paul in the audience. I will thank him tomorrow for his service. Our next formal presentation is BIA presentation at council by the chair of the BIA, Dan Keekins. And before we begin, I want to give a little bit of a background. There are some things you find out late in your tenure. Every year the BIA prepares their budget, and it does come to council in as a line item in our budget, but if you do read the bylaws, this came to my attention, BIA is supposed to present it to council. We did approve it, but I thought in fairness to the BIA and Dan, all the work that he did, that we should have him come forward and make the presentation and explain a little bit about the BIA. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dan.
Hello, thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us here tonight. My name is Dan Keekins, and I'm the acting chair for the Strathroy BIA. Thanks everybody for your time and hearing me out here. I'm not going to go through every single slide in detail. I'll just kind of give an overview, and then if anyone has questions. First, I kind of want to ground tonight's presentation in what the BIA's core mandate actually is. Our official vision is to ensure that Strathroy BIA is a revitalized community focal point where businesses thrive, residents live, work, and play, and visitors feel welcome to our unique downtown. Our governance policies dictate our specific mission, which is to advocate for our membership, support new business development, promote goods and services, lobby for safety, and plan for downtown beautification. Many of you, if you're familiar with the BIA, you would understand that we've tried to have those set out in individual committees. So the operation itself is governed by municipal bylaws, which mandate a structured board of directors, distinct working committees, which we'll get into, and strict financial accountability processes. Everything discussed is designed tonight to finally give us some capacity to actually execute on some of these mandates. To ensure we're delivering on this mission effectively, in addition to this increase, we're working on a 3-phase alignment proposal to establish some more clarity and accountability as we work together to find some new ground here as we face some different challenges over the last few months. So the first part that we're working on is alignment and foundation. I'll be honest, in being here for going into 3 years as part of the BIA, there hasn't ever been anything that felt structured or consistent, and the goal for the first phase is just trying to align everybody so we actually know what we're doing at these BIA meetings and what we're working towards. After that, we're looking at roles and committees, so revisiting who's contributing what to those committees, and then a more focused annual strategic plan so that when directors are joining the board, they have some structure and know what they're supposed to be working on and can kind of build on that. So with that, hopefully starting here next week at the next meeting, I'll kind of go through some of the focal points on the financial realities of the BIA and why our membership approved this levy increase. Since the inception, there's been really no significant increase, just minor adjustments for inflation. Because of this, we've ranked, I think it was 7th lowest off the top of my head, of 59 reporting BIAs in Ontario. We've been trying to manage the downtown with less than basically 60% of the capacity of our peer communities, which is obviously very challenging. And closing that gap is really essential for sustainable growth, I'd say. Yeah, so I mean, really that adjustments to bring us in line with our peers, while remaining relatively manageable for most local businesses. 59% of the downtown commercial properties, this should only translate to about $10 or less a month. Based on the medium levy rate, the average property will see a monthly increase of just $8. And every dollar of that goes back into the, making downtown stronger, hopefully, if we do a good job. Becoming more visible and more connected, and I think some of that showed in our fall arts and culture event there that the BIA coordinated with the town. Yeah, so I didn't go through each slide piece by piece, and this was worked on by many people, not just me, so I'm not going to have every answer, but if you guys have any questions, I'll do my best to either answer it or get back to you guys with the appropriate answer.
Yep. Councillor Wilsey.
Just for my own information, how does the BIA work with the Chamber of Commerce, and has there been any changes? I know you said it's going to start next month with the new board, so has there been any changes from the increased levy so far this year?
No, so we had some staffing challenges, I would say, and just some turnover of our chair and who was our coordinator as well. So in terms of working with the Chamber, the 2.5 years that I've been here, we've not done anything with the Chamber, to answer that question directly. We've just recently hired someone month to month who's basically acting as a consultant to the board to help us get organized. Like, we've got a group of us that are business owners that are involved in the community, but I spend a lot of time on this personally, but not everybody has as much time as I do or make myself have available. So it's very difficult when you join these boards to sit with volunteer people and ask them so much of them. And so we need more structures when people are brought into these. I mean, we're not being brought in, they're volunteering to do it, but they need to know what to do. What actions should you actually be taking to make an impact? And yeah, so Laura Noon is someone that we've decided as a board to hire temporarily to help us get these things done. It's really challenging as someone who has a young family and a career and other things going on to act on all of it just by myself. And people can only give so much time, so we really need that support, just so that even when I joined, it's just, you don't know what you should be doing, and we need more clarity for the directors themselves so they know how they can improve things. I don't know if that answers your question. I kind of went off a bit, but...
Go ahead, Councillor, if you have a follow-up.
Yeah, no, that answers a little bit about what's going on. I'm glad to see there's some direction going. Are there plans to work with the Chamber of Commerce, or are you two distinct? Now we've got the president here, but are you two distinct organizations, or do you work together? You seem like you're fairly aligned.
Yeah, I'll be honest in saying that I think the time I've spent, Donna taking over recently, she's made some great efforts. I'll be honest in saying I've lacked some time just focusing on other things to interact and engage with the Chamber of Commerce. I'd love for us to, especially being two organizations down here, to work together. I just personally only have so much time. I'd love for us to have a better relationship. It's just, yeah, we need a little bit more structure for people to make an impact, I think. So, yeah, currently there's not much that we do. Donna's done a great job reaching out. I've been a little spread thin, just working on all of this stuff. And we should have a better relationship, I'd admit that.
Is that a hand, Councillor?
It is. I just thank you for you to the presenter. I just had a question about the levy, because I don't know anything about the BIA, so I'm just going to ask up front. Levies being collected from the business owners that actually are in the BIA. So
the property owners, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, your members are. So this actually will not affect the ratepayer anywhere else other than yourselves with this increase.
I believe that's correct, yep. So
and I guess that is my question, as long as it's just a levy on yourselves that you're wanting us to collect more from you and transfer it over, then if that's exactly what's happening, again, I just was looking for clarification on that to make sure that that is what I understand to be happening is happening.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Dan.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
I appreciate it. Next on the docket is our first public meeting. Motion to open the public meeting. This is to consider an application for zoning bylaw amendment for the property located at 295-297 Metcalfe Street East in Strathroy. Motion to open the deputy mayor, second by Councilor Wilsey. All in favor, open. Thank you. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, as noted, this is a property at 295 and 297 Metcalfe Street. It's on the north side of Metcalfe Street if Metcalfe ran east and west. It is at the intersection of Front Street and Metcalfe, and that can be seen on the location map as part of your package. And it's noted that on the opposite or south side of Metcalfe Street, McNabb Street is an intersection that's just to the east of the Front Street intersection. So it is a kind of a unique situation. Sometimes we would have four corners, but in this case, they're slightly misaligned with McNabb being to the east. And that's going to come up in conversation here as I go through things. So the existing site has a semi-detached dwelling on it. That means there are 2 units that are on the property with 2 driveways on either side of that semi-detached building. Those driveways lead to parking spaces that bleed into behind the building. The proposal is for a 6-unit building in approximately the same location as the existing. However, it is slightly shifted towards the west, so that west property line would be closer to that property line, and they're removing one of the 2 driveways on that westerly side. We're proposing to have a single driveway along the east side that would lead to parking spaces that would fully meet the bylaw requirement for this size of, or this number of units. The building is noted throughout the planning justification report as 2.5 stories. That's a little bit complicated. It's 2 stories, but the 3rd story is half in the ground. And so what we're working with here is a design concept, and they would then be proceeding after this to a site alteration permit to address grading and securing that grading on the property, as well as some of the proposed stormwater management that exists behind that is proposed behind the parking area. And then they would be proceeding with a building permit if the zoning was approved. The report goes through some of the policy details, provincial policy, and the intensification policies, as well as my analysis as well. At the time in which I wrote the report, there was one comment had been received from the public. That is attached to the agenda. There were additional comments that were received after that. I would just quickly say that there were sort of a number of points, and I believe there are a number of people here today to speak to those points. But if I were to distill the comments down to highlight points, not all of the points, but the highlight points, there are 5. One related to traffic and access. And so traffic being, I think we have to keep in mind that what we're dealing with here is a property that has 2 units existing as of right today. They could have up to 4 on the property without doing a rezoning. The application that's being proposed is to increase that 2 more to 6. So the amount of traffic that's expected from this is limited in terms of its expansion from what we would expect on the property, or what we could see on the property today or in the future. In terms of the access point, there's an improvement by having this access point, only 1 access point, not 2, having that access point paired with the adjacent property, meaning the two are coming out at the same spot, not necessarily that one would be using, they're not using each other's driveways, obviously. To that point also, cars will enter the site in a forward motion, go into the backyard where they would park, and then leave in a forward motion. The existing parking scenario is such that somebody would come into that driveway and they potentially would back out. And that's a much more dangerous situation than what is being proposed today. In terms of the front yard setback, they're asking for a front yard setback of 2 meters. There's something that needs to be considered in that. The proposal is to have a building that's basically at the same setback that the existing building is at. But the county is requesting a road dedication. And so that 5 meters of road dedication reduces that front yard setback. So what would be a 7 meter setback today is turning into a 2 meter setback on the existing building, if that dedication was given to the existing building. So what we're seeing here is a proposal that is in line with the other houses along the street. So to have it set back further, it wouldn't line up with the houses directly adjacent. That's 303 and then also the ones along Front Street, the two that are along Front Street. And this would be in line with some of our zoning standards that we have, where we're looking for an average front yard setback to be similar to those of the adjacent homes surrounding. Lastly, there were comments about the rear yard parking, and I've sort of described that they are proposing a parking scenario that would be superior to the existing situation, and as such, planning staff are also aware of the issue of headlight shine and alike in the backyard. They have designed the parking to be such that the stalls are facing deeper into the lot rather than shining into the side lots, but that does mean that while the vehicles are traveling in the aisles, they would be shining onto those adjacent homes. And so we would be looking, or we would be asking during the remaining process to have them consider a more permanent blocking of that through fence or landscaping. The last item that was raised a number of times was relating to water and drainage. The applicants have provided a functional servicing report, and these details, as well as the stormwater, would be secured through something called a servicing application, or a site servicing and site alteration permit. And that would be the final piece. This is 6 units, pardon me. This is 6 units, so it isn't subject to site plan, but this is the approach that Strathroy-Caradoc takes for this. It's a lighter touch, but still ensures that water is not directed onto adjacent properties, but rather directed towards the back, where there's an existing natural heritage feature and existing water drainage within the back area. The last item was lighting, and the zoning bylaw specifically speaks to ensuring that lighting that would be in this back parking would be downward facing. So we would be looking for those any lights that would be put into the parking area, that they would be on posts and downward facing, so that we get a lot less light shine to either of the side yards. These are generally my submissions. I will note that we are recommending approval, and there is a draft zoning bylaw on the agenda this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions that may come up.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Now I'm going to open it up to comments and inquiries by the public. I believe there are a few. Just to remind everybody, get 5 minutes, a little bit lenient, but when it gets to the 5 minutes, I'll try gently just to let you know your time's up. So if somebody would like to speak first, just ask you to introduce yourself. Yep, go ahead.
Good evening. Mayor, members of council, my name is Lauren Suley and I'm a planner with Civic Planning and Design, Inc. Also joining me this evening is Jersey Smilerick, who is a partner at Civic. We are here tonight representing our client, who is the owner of the property and who will ultimately be the developer of the property as well. And so we are here just to kind of speak on their behalf. I would like to start by thanking staff for their work on this proposal and thanking Mr. Williams for his great presentation. He said most of what I'm going to say, so I won't repeat what he is about to say, but I will add to it. I would like to acknowledge that we are in full agreement with the recommendation as well as with the draft bylaw that is before you tonight. So just to add to Mr. Williams' presentation, the project team has worked through multiple iterations with staff as well as with the Conservation Authority to get to the design that is in front of you tonight. So we are very excited to get to this milestone and excited for the support from staff on this proposal. Just to add to a few things that Mr. Williams had mentioned, in terms of the parking, yes, there will be a privacy fence that will be installed on both the eastern and western portions of the property. So that should help with the headlight issue of the cars driving in and out of that driveway. And additionally, there is plenty of space kind of at the back of the proposed building to also allow for additional plantings. So some of those plantings can also help with privacy and screening of lights as well. Just to conclude, this concept does represent a form of gentle intensification, and it does align with the direction for housing diversity and intensification in both the county's official plan as well as the municipal official plan. So with that said, I look forward to the discussion this evening, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any comments from members of the public? Okay, yep. Take the microphone.
My name is Wilson Brock. I'm the president of the Bear Creek Condo Association. We have some concerns. First of all, the setback coming that close to the street, that is a very touchy corner. There's been a number of people who have been informed that they should turn more to the right to seek traffic coming along Metcalfe Street as it is. With the amount of truck traffic we get down there, when there's any upset on 402, Metcalfe Street becomes a major highway for trucks. And cars coming in and out of there are going to be an issue at some point. So go on record as saying there will be issues at that corner because we see the traffic there all the time. We are much further set back than 2 meters. If you take into account that one house that's there on Front Street and perhaps the one house next to the development, they may be closer, but nobody else is. The other condo association next door to us much further back. So that gives a visibility that I don't think will be there if this variance is accepted. Secondly, the drainage issue. We don't know that what findings have been made by the Conservation Authority. We deal with them all the time because we have wetland right in behind our property. Is it going to cause more flooding in behind our property? Where is this runoff going? Has there been a hydrology test as to where the flow is going? What's it going to do to the backyards on Front Street? We don't know any of this information because none of that has been made available to us at this point. So we have concerns. We understand the intensification of residential area, and we're realists. I used to live around Toronto. Believe me, I know intensification. But there's a lot of gray area here as to the protection of the people that are there now. Our neighbors have beautiful trees. They have a backyard that when our development went in, and we haven't been there for the 25 years that our development has been there. Obviously, we have not been there that long. But when those folks, when our development was built, promises were made by the developer. And they never, excuse me, and they never happened. And the town council at that time did not enforce them. I feel bad for them because they get more wastewater off our property than they should be getting. And what's going to happen with this one? Is the backyard going to be built up for parking? Are they going to be bringing a lot of fill and raise the level? We don't know any of this, because none of that has been officially given to us to find out. I guess maybe we could have found out, I don't know how. So we have concerns about the intensification with that property, because we do know that when the next door neighbors put theirs in, digging down, 8 feet down, they found water. That means that they have to bring in fill if they're going to do much in that backyard, because it's wet. So we don't know what effect that's going to have on the runoff, what effect it'll have out behind our places, and those questions have not been answered at this point for us. So we have some concerns. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yep.
My name is Jennifer Gillis, and I live at Unit 3 on 307 Metcalfe East. I just want to ask the mayor, the deputy mayor, and Councillor John Brennan if they read the letter that you would have been sent by a Mr. Willie Timmermans. Can you acknowledge that you've received that letter, please?
I'll be honest, I don't recall getting that letter. I read everything I get. When was it sent?
It's attached.
Was it attached?
March 23rd it was
Sorry,
sent.
I apologize.
I have
I
sent-
did get, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
do you remember anything about it? Did you read it?
To be honest, I did not read that one letter. I read everything else, but I didn't
Okay.
read that.
Well, I-
Being honest with you.
Okay, well, you're honest, and I would
And
ask
seeing as
that,
my name was mentioned, the one dated March 20th that's in this package I've read.
Yeah.
are you John?
I'm John Brennan, but there's a letter, March 20th, 2026 attached to the documents here that I've read, yes.
You've read it?
Yeah.
So did Deputy Mayor McGuire read it?
Not as far as examining it, I just perused it.
Okay, well, that's disappointing that a member of the public went to the trouble of writing a 4-page, very, very well-written letter that I completely support as an occupant in the adjacent to what you're doing. You didn't have the time or the courtesy to read the letter, and I would ask that you read the letter and perhaps respond. Thank you.
Any other comment? Yep, go ahead. Yep. Go ahead. We'll get to all of you.
What will we get, Michael?
Okay, my name is Ken Dunsmore. I live on 249 Mill Pond. Our cul-de-sac that we're on is on the same cul-de-sac as an adjacent property to the property in question. It's not ours, but it's our neighbor across the street. So that's why we received a letter about this. I think this proposal is unsafe and should be turned down. The last thing Metcalfe needs, is particularly at this location, is another driveway for multiple vehicles in the intersection. It's been mentioned that there's already 2 units there. So assuming those 2 units have 4 vehicles, this new proposal, I understand, is for 10 vehicles. So it's more than doubling the traffic in and out of that space onto Metcalfe Street. One of the issues I have is with the setback proposal, and if I'm reading this correctly, that can create additional visibility and safety issues. The proposal would put the building much too close to Metcalfe and not meet the municipality's requirements of 38 meters. Making a safe left-hand or right-hand turn from Front Street onto Metcalfe is tough enough now, and I think someone else mentioned that very issue. We live on Mill Pond, so we're constantly going down front, making a left-hand turn onto Metcalfe. You have to get your nose out there a long way to be able to clearly see what's coming. And the speed signs on Metcalfe should say minimum 50, because that's basically what people are doing.
Right.
It's posted at 50, but 55 and 60 is not uncommon, particularly during plant shifts and that sort of thing. So, and getting out onto the road from the other way, looking to your right, can be just as tricky. When you look to the left, there's a giant tree there that must be 5 feet in diameter. There's been shrubbery all over the front of those properties there for years that blocks your visibility. And like I say, the traffic flows on Metcalf and the speeds. Also, McNabb Street, which is a truck entrance for the industrial area, is right across from all of this. So you've got trucks coming in and out there. The second issue is having tenants, proposed tenants from this unit, coming in or out of, to go on to these streets. They'll be pulling out into moving traffic, but also when they're coming home, coming in off Metcalf Street, let's say they're coming from the old golf course, Pine Tree Golf Course, into town, they're turning into their laneway, they get close to their property, they put the right indicator on, and the person behind them thinks, oh, these people are just moving off on Front Street, which is a nice, easy curve, and they won't have to slow down and move in. And the next thing you know, they're coming to a complete stop to make a 90-degree turn into their driveway. So that could cause all kinds of problems, particularly in winter weather. With a building setback to 38 meters, which the town requires, there would be less room for tenant parking as the lower back area of this property drops off quickly, is swampy and prone to flooding. When I look back there just from the street, all I see is cattails. So there's a ton of water back there. Our property on Metcalf, on the Mill Pond, is right against the conservation area, and we have water right up to our fence line now. Right now, you could go back there and take one step across our fence and you'd be up to your ankles in water. Next door neighbor's exactly the same. And the big house back in the corner that was the doctor's house, they brought in 50 truckloads of fill to try and get rid of the water back in there over the years. And there's still water there all the time. They can't even cut the grass, it's so wet. So what happens to the water, I don't know. But that's an issue as well. It's got to go someplace. The flooding and whatnot that's back there is not the municipality's issue. That's the property developer's issue. So they'll have to deal with that. And again, we don't know what the arrangements they've made with the conservation area at all. I think the builder has chosen a design that won't fit the property and wants the municipality to make adjustments to put, and which will ultimately put citizens at risk from private traffic. This proposal should be turned down. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I saw another hand there, I thought. Yep.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your invitation involving the future concerns and problems at 295-297 Metcalf Street East. My name is Frank Kovacs. I live at 293 Front Street East. Next door to this property. Been here for 40 years. Believe me when I say I have seen it all. Near misses, crashes, deaths abound at this intersection. I'm terrified at the prospect of a multi-unit dwelling next door. Up to 10 parking spaces appear excessive and worrisome. This neighborhood consists mainly of single-family homes. Average age is over 50. The changes being set forth are beyond comprehension and overreaching. To go from 1 to 6, please give me a break. Anyone in my position would balk at this project. The backyard, a parking lot, no thank you. My biggest fear is for the safety of everyone who accesses this area often. Recently, I've considered legal aid to help deem my driving as dangerous and hazardous. I firmly believe provincial, county, and local highway planning specialists need to be involved. These problems need to be addressed once and for all. Traffic issues and speeding devices require deep attention. Studies need to be performed. This is an extremely busy corner. Shift change is acute. My neighbor really covered many of the aspects of our situation the same as me. line of sight, snow and garbage removal, emergency vehicle use, buses, the list goes on. Environmental changes should be deeply reviewed. I strongly believe that too much is being requested by the developer at this time. Please reconsider.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, I'll open up to comments and questions for members of council. Any comments or questions for members of council? Councillor Palmer, then Councillor Palkman.
To the planner, I know at the beginning when you were going through the proposal, you talked a bit about the setback. Could you go over that again, having taken a better look and hearing people's complaints? Could you go over what the setback, the proposed setback will be and how it aligns with the rest of the homes on Metcalfe and Front?
Certainly, through the chair to Councillor Palmer. This is there are two different setbacks that are at play here. One is from the front lot line, which they're requesting a 2-meter setback versus a 5, which is required in the zoning bylaw. And the second one is 18 meters where 38 is required, and that's from the center line of the road. And this is for roads that are on arterial roads. These are county arterial roads, require 38 meters. This is, the 38 meters is indiscriminate of the speed limit. So this is the requirement when we're in the rural area as well, where speeds are much higher, and so the requirement is much higher, or the need is much higher. So in this particular case, the reduced setback is seen as not being objectionable by the county engineer as a result of the fact that the speed, we did hear other things about the actual speed, but that the speed limit here is a 50. That's different than other areas within the county where the speed limit is as much as 90 kilometers an hour. But that setback is still the same in all those cases. And to speak to the setback, and you can see this on the site plan that was provided, they do include black boxes to represent the other buildings, and I believe that they're fairly accurate in their depiction, and I did a little bit of a check while listening to others. They are proposing a setback that is greater than Unit 1 of 307 Metcalfe. That's the adjacent condominium. I say adjacent, but there's that 303 building that's in between, and that's actually closer to the lot line than what's being proposed by the applicants. I think that gives more description, but I'm happy to say even more if necessary.
Councillor Palkman.
Yes, thank you. I too wanted a practical description, but you did what I wanted to, which is, whether it's 2 meters, 5 meters, where is it in an actual relation to the houses that are actually there? And I think you answered that pretty clearly. I do have a question for the developer. In terms of garbage, what is the plan for garbage? Because you can't really put 6 garbage cans and 6 recycling cans out on Metcalfe Street, so I'm just curious what the plan is for garbage. That's one of my questions.
Through the chair, so garbage would be stored on site in kind of some sort of garbage shed on the site, and it actually would be taken out on garbage day. Residents would be responsible for that, so it would be brought out to the curb and picked up by municipal pickup.
Any follow-up, Councillor Palkman?
Yeah. In terms of the parking, so I do agree with the assessment of the county planner that this setup is actually safer than what exists now, because everyone's going to be nosing forward rather than potentially backing out. And I'm not saying it's safe, I'm saying it's safer. The driveway that is on the next to 293 front is very close to the intersection now. And so at least those people are moved a little farther back. But in terms of the parking, the surface area of the parking lot itself, will that be asphalt or gravel?
For the plan, yep.
Through the chair, yes, it would be asphalt. It would be an asphalt.
So since it's asphalt, I'm assuming then we'll have a grading plan that will direct the water to a drain that would send it to the back, because my biggest concern always is that we don't push any water from that property out to 293 or 303. We want it to go back to the wetlands. So I'm assuming there's a grading plan for that.
Through the chair, yes, there will be a grading plan as part of the detailed design through the permit process. Additionally, a stormwater servicing kind of management plan will also be developed. The developer will be required to ensure that no net new flows will flow off the property, so they will be required to ensure that those flows stay on the property.
Sorry, I still have another.
No, one more.
Yep, I have two.
Sure, go ahead.
So still talking about the parking lot. So let's talk about snow removal for a second. So, you know, I'm always concerned when you have a driveway like that is being proposed, that you end up pushing the driveway the snow against the fence line, which then will create melt into the neighboring property. So what is the plan for snow removal that doesn't effectively push the snow up against the property line?
Through the chair, again, that would be determined through kind of the next stages of the detailed design. And of course, we won't be looking to push it up to a fence line. We will be looking for a designated snow area that will be incorporated into the plans for grading as well as the plans for stormwater management.
So I personally would be more satisfied with one less parking spot and the ability for the person to push the snow right straight down, and then maybe a fence right up against the driveway, so they don't have the ability to push the snow 4 feet back from the curb line. And I guess my last question, I did note, you know, I drive by that property every single day on my way to work, and there's a lot of mature vegetation in the area between the condos in 303. There's some mature trees between 303 and the current property, and some mature trees behind 293. Just some guarantee that none of those trees that are not on this affected property will be removed or damaged in the process. You have some kind of confirmation that you can do the construction that's required without damaging any of that mature vegetation.
Through the chair, the intent would be to try and protect as many trees as possible. Again, that indication or determination of that will be determined in the next stages. However, I will point out that there is a rather large common amenity area. It's over 200 square meters. So that's a lot of space for a lot more new tree planting as well. So there is the possibility to replace any trees that are lost with new tree planting in that area as well. It's quite a significant amenity area, and that amenity area is still outside of the 30-meter buffer from the wetland. So that won't have any effect on the wetland as well.
Thank you. Any other questions from any other members? Councilor Palmer.
To the developer, just the representative of the developer, just in regard to the garbage, you know, 12 wheelie bins being rolled onto Metcalf seems a little crazy. Would the developer consider some sort of commercial garbage collection at the back of the property, either a one of the parking spots or this free space over here, somewhere back there, because I think that's going to be problematic. Just wondering if you might consider that or take that back to them for consideration.
Through the chair, absolutely, we will take it back to the property owner and the developer.
Any other comments? Councilor Brennan.
It's through the chair, the developer's representative. What's the height, the proposed height of the new building in meters? Do we have that here?
Through the chair, so that it 2.5 stories kind of varies depending on the peak of the roof. So it could be anywhere from 10.5 meters, probably up to maybe 11.5.
And is that, okay, sorry, and compared to the current building, the current building on that site, is it 1.5 stories?
Yeah, it's approximately 1.5 stories.
So we're looking essentially at
It's 1 story.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, folks. Just a little decorum, I'm pretty patient, but that's okay.
Pardon me, I could not hear the developer due to the noise from the gallery. What was your answer again, please?
Through the chair, so it is a 1-story building. However, the height of the actual building itself is taller than a typical 1-story, which would be around 3 meters. So the physical height of the building is a little bit taller, but yes, it is a 1-story.
It might be helpful to have those comparators when we get to site plan proposal. Thank you.
Yep. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Wilsey, then Councillor Kaufman.
I have a question for the planner. With everything you've heard tonight and all the different comments, is there anything you've heard that will change your recommendation to council just because the bylaw is later on in the meeting? And I have a follow-up for after that.
Yeah.
My recommendation would be the same on the zoning related matters that are before you tonight.
You have a follow-up, Councillor?
Yeah, and my follow-up on that, just so that all of council is aware, if we decide to go against your recommendation, do you have a brief outline of what the process would be? I know we've gone through it before. This is just, there's a lot of people here, just so we know what happens if council votes this down and we don't pass the bylaw, what the next steps would be between the municipality and the developer.
Yeah. Mr. Williams.
Certainly. So if this was to be recommended, or sorry, if council were to make a decision to deny the application, there would be a 20-day appeal period from the date in which that notice was sent out. If the developer chose to appeal, that would be something that the Ontario Land Tribunal would hear that application and that appeal, and the Strathroy Council would need to look at having representation there, which would mean a planner outside of myself, because I will have recommended something different than what you had directed or decided upon, and as such, your legal representative and that planner would go forward to the OLT and represent you, and by you I mean Strathroy-Caradoc, at the Ontario Land Tribunal. A decision would be made by the Land Tribunal, and whatever that decision is, we would go from there.
Follow up? Go ahead, Councillor Wilson.
And just for clarification, if we were to do that, there is probably a good chance that our own planner would be called as a witness because you have a different decision than that one, because you're in favor of it currently. So you'd be fighting against our own planner is kind of what I'm pointing at.
Yeah, so there is a distinct possibility that the applicant would summons myself to that hearing. Whether or not I would give evidence is I don't know, but they do have their own planning planners that are in support of the application, and they're registered professional planners, so they may choose to use them as their primary evidence, but certainly they can summons me, and I would be asked questions about the application and my professional opinion. Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Pelican.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may, I would like to address the audience for a minute.
Yep.
So in the past, and I've been on council for quite a while, the municipality is the child of the province, and the province says this is kind of how we want municipalities to function, and there would be the county would create an official plan which would mirror what the provincial policy statement says is how they want communities to look, and then our municipality would have to have an official plan that would also mirror the county's plan, which would mirror the provincial policy statement that says this is how we want communities to look. About the same time that, if you remember, the Greenbelt situation around the GTA, There were a lot of changes made to the Planning Act right after we spent about $360,000 to create an official plan, which was now garbage. In those changes, the provincial policy statement now says that they want intensification within the urban boundary, exactly what this kind of proposal is developing. So our official plan, and why the planner has recommended it, is because they have to mirror the provincial policy that says intensification is what allowed. So that puts us in a quandary, because before we were used to saying, you know, this is a neighborhood of single-family homes, and that's kind of what we expect. And now all of a sudden we're getting these proposals. There's been one on Head Street that was a sixplex proposed. There was one, I think it's Dune Street, just off Head Street, that's now being built. There was a proposal on Dewan Street, which was eventually backed down. There's currently a proposal on Oak Street that the neighbors are unhappy with. And I get why you're unhappy, because it's not what you expected. And it's not what we expected either. But now we're put in this place where the rules say this is what we have to approve, because whether you like it or not, it's what the province desires. And a lot of that is done to work in a large city environment, which we are not. But the rules apply to everybody, whether we like it or not. And Councillor Wilsey asked about what happens if we turn it down, and Mr. Williams explained that the developer would have a chance to appeal it. As part of those provincial rules, if we approve it, Mr. Williams, would the residents here have the ability to appeal? They removed your ability to appeal, not us. The province did. Okay, so they've really placed the rules in an unbalanced situation that puts you as residents and us as councillors in a very unfavorable position. And the Ontario Land Tribunal, where this would end up, is currently voting about 98% in favor of whatever developer is proposing. So we could spend a lot of money at the chance of placating you for a result which will end up the exact same. So my focus personally is to make sure that whatever mitigating factors, to make sure that you don't receive any water, that your headlights your house is protected from the headlight clearing, that the entrance is at least in the best possible place, that the sight lines are appropriate, since the house is basically where the current house is. I think except higher, yeah, but somebody could also build a 2.5-story house there and a single family home, and it would be the same, roughly the same height. So that's the situation we're put in. Not our fault, but it's where we're at. So I just wanted to address the audience, let them know.
Thank you. I'm glad you gave the percentage and the OLT.
Can we speak again or no?
I will let you just go ahead. And we'll wrap it up.
Me?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. You didn't use all your time before, so.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say that I understand what you've just said about the province. The province did not say that this building has to be built where they are recommending it. So there are other options within the town to build more inclusive. I just wanted to say that. I also still don't believe that the safety issue is more now than it would be. There is one occupant of those two conjoined homes, and I've yet to see the car move, so they must do it in the middle of the night. I've lived there for 3 years and do not see that vehicle move. Also, my concern is there's 10 parking spaces identified in the plan, so that possibly could be 10 vehicles going in and out. I've seen accidents, near misses myself. I think this is the fire chief sitting in front of me. So he's lucky that he is really close. So with all these accidents happening, he'll be able to get there in record time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, one last one. Sir, you've got the floor if you wish. Yeah.
Well, first of all, rules are not laws. Secondly, my name is John Summers. I live on 225 Front Street, the old nunnery, as I call it. I've been there about 20 years now. And all this talk about, well, we got to do it because of rules. Well, you also have a responsibility for the safety of your citizens. And the way to deal with that one issue is to put lights at that corner. That would improve the safety and the traffic control. So if you're going to accept it, then you should accept the responsibility of keeping it safe. Thank you.
Okay. Again, because we are past, but I'm going to let your hand was up, so I see you there, and I will let you have the right to speak. So go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Vivian Bowman. I live at 255 Front Street East. I'm worried about the property devaluing my property, which might be good for me because I'll be able to pay less taxes. But that being said, I do appreciate what Councillor Pelkman has stated, that we would have no recourse to appeal. So in that regard, I would hope that the council would take in what the citizens of this community are requesting. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead. It's your time. Then I'm going to close it down. If you want to.
I just want to say one thing. I'd like to invite Mr. Williams to my property so I can better explain the traffic situation there.
Okay.
If that's possible, I would really appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to close the public meeting. Councillor Canis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Motion carries. Council, there are two recommendations. One, that application ZBA 1-2026 for 295-297 Metcalf Street East be approved. Approve the bylaw number 27-26 be referred to the consideration of bylaw section of the agenda for consideration and approval. Someone to bring a motion. Councillor Canis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is public meeting number 2. The purposes of public meeting is to consider an application for zoning bylaw amendment for the property located at 6692 Longwoods Road, Melbourne, to be open. Someone bring a motion. Councillor Palmer, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Motion carries. We'll just let the gallery clear, then we'll go to Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is an application, as you noted, at 6,692 Longwoods Road. It's on the north side of Longwoods, just east of the hamlet of Melbourne. It is a rural property. It's a surplus farm dwelling severance that occurred on March 5th. One of the conditions of severance is the rezoning, which the applicants have brought forward this particular rezoning. They're looking to rezone the property from A1 to A2 and A3. So the conveyed parcel, which would be the home and associated buildings, would get a agricultural small holdings zone category, and then the remaining cropland would be for A3 or agricultural purposes only zone category. There is policy and background proposed here, but what I will say is that planning staff have provided a recommendation of denial of the application for reasons of the existing barn being significantly larger than the existing home. that's on the property. This was a part of an item or part of the discussion at the Committee of Adjustment as well. Staff are consistent with their request at that time to have the barn removed. And so this is just following through on that staff comment. I'm happy to answer any questions that would come forward as a result of this, but I will leave it at that for now.
Are there any comments from members of the public? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sue Liv, and I'm one of the owners of the property. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that I understand. So this is to deny the zoning to change, is that right, Tim? Did I get that right? Yeah, so I haven't got anything prepared because I didn't read the whole report, sorry, but I'm in disagreement. Like, I think it was because the barn is staying, but the barn I feel should stay. A lot of people that are looking to have a small property in the country are looking for buildings like that to store all of their toys, and I thought through the consent application that was approved to keep the barn there, so I was just kind of shocked that now the staff is saying, no, we don't want to allow the zoning to happen because the barn is there. And also there's, I didn't grow up in the country, but my husband did, but a lot of times kids have a lot of fun in a barn, like a big thing like that, and nowadays kids sit on their phones and everywhere and not outside, enjoying the things that you can do. So I think, I'm just shocked that the staff is not recommending it to be rezoned, because that barn would be, it makes sense to keep buildings that are existing instead of tearing a building down and then someone buying the property and rebuilding something up to store their toys in. Like, we have to, in a world that we're not keeping, like, we want to be sustainable and keep things, and it seems to be like just demolish things and start fresh again. There's nothing wrong with that barn in there, and it would be good use for someone that would buy the property. So that's just my comments I want to make. So that's it.
Thank you. Any comments and inquiries by members of council? Councillor Polkman and Councillor Pammer. Then I have a couple of questions too.
So I have a first question and then some follow-up comments, if you'll just humor me for a second. So I will ask the planner, you would approve this with the barn gone, but not approve it with the barn there, correct?
So the rezoning aspect of things, the barn, yes. So the accessory buildings exceed the permissions in the zoning, and they also become, because they're larger, that's no longer accessory, that they are the principal item.
So I'm going to read a piece from your own report about section 4.2.17. It's on page 5, where it states that farm buildings deemed to be surplus to the needs of the farm or which may be incompatible with the disposal of a surplus dwelling may be required to be demolished or removed. It doesn't say must, it says may. So that tells me there's discretion in your own policy about whether or not they should stay. So you're saying that the barn is incompatible. However, that barn's been existing for, I don't know, how many years? Does anybody know?
80 plus.
Yeah. And everyone's been driving by that house, seeing the barn there, and suddenly the barn is deemed to be incompatible, even though the only thing that's changing is a couple of imaginary lines on a map. So unless somebody builds a privacy fence around the new lot, it's going to look exactly the same as it has over the last however many years that both of those buildings, the house and the barn, have been existing. So it's really going to look exactly the same as it has now, as it does now. No one's going to be driving by and going, damn, look at the size of that barn next to that house. It's going to look exactly the way it has. To me, you know, we should be looking at opportunities for wealth creation for our property owners. And in your recommendation, you're saying that they need to go through the expense of tearing the barn down and sending all that material to the landfill, but that would also drop the potential value for the house that they could sell. I think that we should be looking to increase the price of the house with the barn there, and potentially have an opportunity for even minor revenue opportunities, such as storage of classic cars or RVs out of the protection of weather, or maybe even as an incubator space for someone who wants to start a small business. And if that business gets to be too busy for that location, well, then we have processes to deal with that in a different way. So I myself would like to put forward a motion, but I'll let other councillors speak first if they want to, that we approve the rezoning. I notice that's not an option in the recommendations, but that would be my comments, and I'll let other councillors speak before I make that.
Councillor Palmer. Right, Councillor Palmer had her hand up first, Deputy.
Yeah, just in your summary here, this is a really interesting one, because usually we don't see this, where you're saying that it is consistent with the provincial planning statement, so what the province is telling us. It conforms to the county official plan, so what the county wants, it's just not conforming with the Strathroy-Caradoc plan. I'm just confused, because I thought our plan had to be in conformity of the Middlesex plan, which had to be in conformity of the provincial plan. So how does the Strathroy-Caradoc official plan not line up? I'm confused.
Mr. Williams.
Certainly, and it's a good question, and I want to, just based on something Councillor Pelkman said, I want to add that in here. These are policies of Strathroy-Caradoc, not of the planning department. The planning department did not come up with those policies. But with that being said, the Middlesex County official plan does not have similar words in it that state that the farm buildings are deemed to be surplus to the needs of the farm. So it doesn't go that detailed. So just with the provincial planning statement and then the county, they're higher level documents. They don't go into the level of detail. And when we get down to the official plan level, we say, okay, now we're at the stage where this is going to be a surplus farm dwelling severance. Now we have to look at, this is a barn that's now going to be a part of a rural residential lot. Is that appropriate? And so the direction is, it may, as Councillor Pelkman said, it may not, which it may be incompatible. And so that's where it comes. And then we move down to the zoning level, and at the zoning level, the zoning bylaw says that it should be less than or equal to 80% of the floor area of the main floor of the building. So it limits any accessory buildings to be lower. And when we're talking about the incompatible nature of it, I think that Councillor Pelkman spoke exactly to the situation, is that this is a rural residential lot, and it would lend itself well to other commercial uses, which may not be compatible in a rural residential zone category. So if they're storing things or having other activities on the property.
Deputy Mayor, then back to Councillor Pelkman.
Thank you. Strangely enough, Councillor Pelkman and I zoned in on exactly the same section. And first of all, Tim, I appreciate your report and know exactly where you're coming from, and it's quite properly written. However, one of the few times we see the word may, which means we actually have some discretion for the first time in a long time on a planning matter here. The only other time we ever see this discretion happening is on minor variances at the Committee of Adjustment. And strangely enough, just at our last meeting, we had a very similar situation occur to this, which is not the first time we've seen this, but we have a large lot, new lot, being developed on a rural residential property just outside of the Mount Bridges urban area, and the house being built, and they wanted an oversized garage. And as frequently commented, particularly by Councillor Pelkman and I, these are the lots where we want these oversized garages, because people have toys and then they have nowhere to park them in town, and we're like, you got to get out of town, you're in the wrong area. And then they go out of town, and then the rules say you can't have the oversized garage. So we've been allowing that frequently at the Committee of Adjustment through minor variances, very similar to what is going on here. You know, this is a barn on the property, which is fitting. In fact, when I built an oversized shed or shop on my house, it looks like a barn because that's what I wanted it to look like. And I know many people have built something similar to what I did many years ago. My question, and I'm fully in support of this, I would second the motion I know that Councillor Peltman's going to bring. But my question for Tim, if the motion to approve this passes, is there any term that we can put on the zoning that they cannot put livestock in that building? Or is it strictly enforcing the zoning requirement later that it could not have livestock? So I see what you mean. We don't want livestock. I don't want somebody doing a cattle operation or something on the property. So how do we limit that if in fact we approve and allow our discretion to stand that if we wanted to have the building remain?
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, through the chair. To answer the question, yes, Alyssa's report here that you have in front of you didn't necessarily go into another option. And so certainly can explore that now. Definitely we can address use in the zoning bylaw. We can also specifically say, because what would be necessary here is specific wording talking about the accessory building. So we would say that this barn is now an accessory structure to the residential and shall not be used for agricultural purposes. We could say it's such as that or livestock, whichever seemed to be most appropriate.
Deputy Mayor and Councillor Peltman.
So then, just to follow up, and Councillor Peltman, this is really for you. If the motion was to approve it, would we then need to bring the zoning bylaw back on another date so that you could do your refinements to the no livestock, which I'm assuming would be okay with the applicants?
Yeah.
Can I ask that question of the applicants?
Yeah.
So if I could ask Sue or Jamie, if there was a no livestock use for the existing barn, so we allow the barn to stay, but you can't have a cattle operation or horses or something in it, does that suffice?
Yes, that's fine, but also I just want to point out, when you move from Ag 1 or Ag zoning to Ag 2 or 3, I forget which one it is, so we've done other farms that we have surplus farm dwellings. So when the house is severed off, whatever zone it is, and I don't know if it's A3, A2, whatever, it's in that zone category says you can't have livestock on that residential piece. So I'm not sure why it's being brought up like, ooh, there might be animals in there, you can't have that, because when they rezone that severed parcel, you can't have livestock. That's rural residential, I'm not sure, A2, A3, whatever it is, and then the farm retained land that's kept is kept to be a zoning that you can only farm that, you can never build a house on that parcel you're retaining. So I'm not sure why we're worried about animals and stuff going into this barn. When it's rezoned, it won't be allowed.
And can you comment on that, Mr. That's what I understood too. I want you.
So there's no zoning bylaw accompanying the report today. So to bring it back, the recommendation from Councilor Peltman would be to approve the application and request that staff bring forward a zoning bylaw to the next next available meeting. The zoning, I had said I agree with you. We would restrict it at use, and that's what I meant by that, was that the A2 zone specifically allows for agricultural uses. When we're rezoning it for surplus farm dwellings, we remove those livestock related uses. We would do that same thing here. I was just merely suggesting that we would do the same.
So it would in fact
same activity. Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we do this, make a motion to close the public meeting. Motion may be forthcoming, so I'm going to make a motion to close the public meeting. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Palmer. All in favor, motion carries. I'm going to take a pause and see if there's a motion that anyone would like to make. Councillor Peltman.
Yes, thank you. I would like to make a motion that we approve the zoning bylaw amendment, but refer final approval so proper wording can be brought back in front of the council.
For a second. Deputy Mayor, any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Just for clarification, I just want to make sure that we're approving it tonight, but that the bylaw is coming back to us.
Yes. Need the bylaw.
So the approval's there, we'll do the bylaw at the next meeting.
Can I just ask,
Go ahead, Councillor.
how come we aren't just approving it with the A2-47 zoning, which prohibits livestock? But wouldn't that be part of the bylaw?
Is that what the bylaw is in front of us?
There's nothing.
There's nothing.
It doesn't have a recommendation to bring it back as that, but can't we make the motion to just make it that? And then this thing can move forward, because
You
I
want
think
to
it,
make an amendment, still need to wait for the bylaw, Councillor, if you want to ask, Councillor, friendly amendment to add that in there.
I was just worried about tripping up on the wording by making it too specific tonight.
Okay, it's coming back anyways, correct? Be coming back.
so then my next question would be, do we still have to go back to committee of adjustment after we do this? Because committee of adjustment made the recommendation that it be approved, sent forward without -7, which was the barn being added. So, like, how many times is this gonna keep getting bounced down the road when we all know we just want to approve it, send it through with the barn in the back? So, that's kind of what I'm asking, like.
Okay, let's go to Mr. Williams. Does this have to go back to committee of adjustments, or can it come right?
Committee of adjustment is done, so
They're
that
done.
decision has been made. What I see is that a zoning bylaw would be on a council agenda coming forward in the future that addresses the comments that have been received today. And it would just be a standard surplus farm dwelling severance rezoning. And we would use, yes, probably A2-47 if it hasn't already been used up on another site, but definitely it would be a site specific to address and include the permission for the barn, as we've seen here. Nothing.
So we have a second in motion. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, any motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next, approval of minutes. We have two minutes to be approved. The regular council meeting minutes of March 16th and the strategic priorities meeting minutes of March 23rd. So I'm bringing a motion, Deputy Mayor, set by Councillor Brenner. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approval? Motion is carried. Consent agenda, there are a number of items on there. Is there anybody who would like to speak to anyone in particular? Councillor Derbyshire.
We pull 712, 713, and I guess that moves into reports from departments.
Okay, 712 and 713?
Yeah.
7 is all consent though, right?
It's all consent, Councillor.
Oh, well, then we got to pull Tri-Township too.
Okay.
That's all for me.
And then if all of 7 is consent, so we're talking then the BIA board meeting and the meeting and the meetings and
Yeah, they're all consent agenda, Councillor.
Okay, just all the BIA stuff. I wouldn't mind speaking of that all, probably as one.
Do that. Any others? Okay. Councillor Palmer.
7.1.1.
Yep. All right. So I got those. Let's start. We'll approve them all at the end. Let's start with Councillor Palmer since that's the first one, 7.1.1.
There was no attachment with it that explained what the No Excuses campaign is. I'm not familiar with it. Could someone tell me what that is?
Deputy Mayor.
I'm just going from memory here at the county council meeting, but the No Excuses campaign, I believe, no, I might speak out of turn here by saying this. I thought it had to do with the school buses and the stop sign coming out, but.
I can speak to it. I asked for it to be pulled for council. It was support of a resolution from Dem Center. It was strictly with the bus not stopping for the bus, the signals met. I didn't have any particular reason, I just wanted to have council have a look at it, so.
So it's about.
It's about the failure to stop, failure for citizens to obey the bus signals.
Law enforcement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Councilor Derbyshire, let's go with you. You have a bunch. 7.1.2, the BRA Board of Directors.
Yeah, the Blue Water Recycling Association. I just wanted to kind of pull it forward and make sure that everyone was aware of the changes that have been made there, especially with the red lids and some of the other changes coming forward. It's just a not a bad kind of update on the report there, and I don't know if Councilor Wilsey, who sits on it, has anything else to add. I just more wanted to make the people aware of some of the upcoming changes that they might be dealing with.
Did you have anything, Councilor Wilson? Sorry, I should look over.
Yeah, and really all I'll say is that between staff and council, we've met with these at a few different committees. We've got some ideas coming forward for the red bin and cost change for next year, talking about green bins. All of those things are with staff coming back to recommendations, and hopefully we see them soon. And so this is just general for the entire Blue Water Recycling Agency, nothing specific to Strathroy, but it does give you an idea about why we're looking at the things we're looking at.
Thank you. 7.1.3, Councilor.
Thank you. This is a letter from our local member of provincial parliament, which I'm a bit confused on at this point because we haven't made a decision. We have a decision coming up, but it's looking like it's not, it's a hard one for us to support considering it's against everyone's statements, but we do now have our local MP weighing in saying that this is a good spot and this is where he would like this project to happen. So I'm just unclear as to why at this point now we're receiving a letter like this, where now I feel like now I'm up against our local member of parliament who wants this done, and I don't know how to get around doing it considering it doesn't look like we can, as we've seen tonight, all the rules and governance laws that are handed down to us. How do we get around this? And yet we have our member telling us that this is a good spot for it. So I don't know why it's here or how it got here, but I was hoping for some clarification. I did phone his office. Have not heard anything back. Just would like to know kind of why we're put in this position.
Sure, I'll answer that for you, Councilor, because you know I will. MPP spoke to me about it. He's asked if he wanted to write a letter of support for it. Do whatever he wants, so there was no direction. I did know that he was going to write it, but he can do as he pleases. So, yep, go ahead, Councilor.
Again, then I'll just ask, what are we to do with this where we're all in support of the hospice?
Yeah.
I can say this around the whole table, we're all in support of it. This specifically names the site and says this is a good site for it, this is where it should be. Like, that would be my question. I wish if he was in that kind of sport, we could get that answer as to how he thinks we can get around this. You know, that would be great help, other than now it makes it look like we as council are now going to make the decision and going to be, for lack of a better term, the bad guys in this whole thing.
But you asked for the genesis, I'll go, well, that's how it got in a chat with him. He said, should I send a letter? I go, do whatever you want. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, when I read it two ways, right, and I still can read it two ways, and I'm not quite sure if MPP Pinsonneau is referencing the Strathroy Hospice and just put in the address, but he's referencing the hospice as receiving his support. And again, you know, at council, I think we all spoke up that we, you know, collectively, I guess, we're supporting the hospice. Or is he specifically supporting the hospice on Walker's Drive at this location? So I can read it both ways, and yeah, I haven't reached out to his office, Your Worship. I'm not quite sure if I will, but at some point in time, I'd like to I'd like to ask him exactly what it is that he's supporting, because it does put us in a uncomfortable situation after the last meeting. And I probably made the most pointed comments about the legislation.
Fair enough. Councilor Brennan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say it fills me with a lot of comfort and confidence that our MPP is writing to express his full support for the proposed Strathroy Hospital project at 7013 Walker's Drive. It's very specific. I think it makes it very easy for this council to vote in favor of the required motion to place a hospital at that address. And I think we're being told here that we're going to have somebody lobbying for us at the provincial level. And that's the way I'm going to read it. I think it makes it easier for us to vote for something that we, I think, all favor, that we think the community wants and the community needs. Our MPP is stating publicly that he's in favor of the project at that site. And I think he's making a commitment to lobby for us at the provincial level. So nod and a wink. I think this comes back to us. We vote for it. If it goes to the OLT, we'll see what happens. But I think this is one where we vote what the community wants and needs, and we hold our MPP to help us at the provincial level to get this thing moving.
I saw Councilor Derbyshire, then Councilor.
You go first, and then
Go ahead, yeah,
I was just going to say, remember, there's a whole room of people here that were objectionable to the site. So it's not voting, your comment that collectively we're voting with everybody in favor of it. There was a lot of people had concerns. However, I would just say if the MPP is that supportive of it, he should walk in the room with an MZO, ministerial zoning order, and take this right off of our plate. Because I disagree that when the legislation is as clear as it is, that you just vote against it and let it go to OLT. Because at the OLT, they don't appeal our decision, they just set it aside, and they make the decision. So I would differ on those points. I think we have to follow the legislation, but perhaps Mr. Pinsonneau wants to bring in an MZO and solve this whole conundrum.
Just a response.
Yeah, just one, then there's a couple over here too. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is one where we have a process, and we can vote in favor of this, and the process takes over. Maybe we get an MZO, but until we put our reputations on the line, I don't know if we're going to get help from the provincial government. I think we vote for this, and then we see what happens at OLT. Maybe we will get that MZO, but I'd rather be a member of a council that votes for something like this than one that just says, oh, well, our hands are tied. I think this is one occasion where we can really, as a council, attempt to lead and put pressure on our provincial government to come through for us.
Councilor Derbyshire, then Councilor Pelkman, then we'll.
So this is kind of my point to this whole letter. We're now having, again, a debate about this thing. And it's not on the agenda, it's not part of it, and now we're into, do we support it, don't we support it? Yeah. This, if he was fully saying, I've got your back, this could be handled completely different than to put it on a public agenda where we now have to deal with it. And regardless what you think of the hospice being needed or not, I think we all agree with that. Where it's being proposed, and if he wants to help us out and drive it into prime agricultural land, by all means. But we're never ever going to be able to stand up and say, oh, we're looking out for prime agricultural land if you're going to put this in the middle of it. You're 5 or 7 kilometers outside of town. You're not right outside of town.
We'll have that debate, but.
Well, this brings it forward.
Councilor Pelkman, you had your hand was up.
Yeah, most of what I was going to say has been said already. I guess the only anomaly I would put in here is that, there's a land donation being made, and that's the location of the land donation. And without that, suddenly the hospice becomes a lot more expensive to build, and that's something that we'll have to factor in our decision at the end.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Sorry, Councilor Wilsey, didn't look at this side of the room.
Not a problem. Just on that last comment that the financials of building the building and what it costs somebody to build it. I wasn't going to speak on this, I had a different question, but the financials, how much it costs to build it, isn't really the point of this council. We're just looking at zoning, whether they can build it or not how much it costs, not whether it's financially viable. I don't think that's what we have to look at. The question I've got is, I think we're talking about everything now, but I just want to remind myself, I don't believe we've seen a planning report that says whether this is approved or denied. So we're talking in hypotheticals about whether this is approved or denied. We're going to vote against it. We're going to vote for it. We haven't even seen a report to vote on yet. So can I just, and maybe I'm hopefully not out of turn, if I could ask the planner, have we seen a report on this yet where we've had anything that we could vote on?
Through the chair, this is a situation where we've had the public meeting, an information report was provided at that time. A decision of council was to have an additional information report brought forward to council. We're looking at doing that in short order. We received some additional information about a week ago. Been working with different members of staff to address the revised submission, and so we would likely see something May.
Okay. Can I answer your question, Councilor? Okay. All right, seeing no more on that item, Councilor Derbyshire, you asked for 7.2.1 Tri-Township Arena update.
Okay. I know there's no decision, we're just receiving this for information, but I do realize that in this, they gave us the drawings, they gave us their opinion on what they were gonna do, how they were gonna do it. I would say the floor plan was a lot bigger than I had originally thought. I wasn't gonna go that big, but they're saying that the stairs being 30 meters away and you gotta go through this and that, and that's fine. We could probably deal with that. You could go straight through, or you could do what they did at the Gemini, is they built stairs out the side and took stairs out the back end so that you have 2 exit points. So that does solve that if you're truly intent on, building the mezzanine as the mezzanine. Now, if the mezzanine this is where I'm gonna change the whole subject matter, because I do believe we're trying to get OAD compliant is what we're trying to do with this. OAD requirement is that we provide the same experience or a similar experience to what you can get in the rest of the place. The mezzanine right now is called a mezzanine, it's not a second floor. So to provide the same experience, you can do exactly what they did before. They had a ramp over in the far corner where, and when I say the far corner, I'm gonna call it the top right-hand corner. Right in the corner, they had a ramp built there where via wheelchair, you can come down through the double doors, go around, and you can watch and experience the game in the outdoors, just like you would up on the mezzanine. Now, if we are going to build everything up on the mezzanine where you have meeting areas and all this, then yes, that becomes a floor with amenities, and you have to put people up there. But if all we're trying to solve is to be OAD compliant, you can take that, you can build a ramp, you can even split it in half and make half of it enclosed, half of it not enclosed. I would think for about $100,000, your arena now becomes OAD compliant, and we can begin to sort through what we want to do with this place, if anything, going further. As opposed to making a decision right now on whether we want to put an addition on the end or a thing up the middle. For, I would say, under 100,000, we can be OAD compliant, this arena can function the way it's meant to function, and we can let somebody else or the next council, or if there is money coming forward, maybe you set out a plan where you're going to find some land and do an arena. The more I looked at it and the more they got talking about a sprinkler system and a this and a that, and I thought, what is our total goal here? And our goal was so that we were OAD compliant. And that, in my opinion, and everything I can read, gets us to there without actually doing any structural changes to this building. So I know it's just for information right now, the plan will come forward, but that's that's would be what I would recommend if I were, well, I am on the board as an alternative, but that's what I would be looking for now is let's just get OAD compliant and figure out what we're gonna do. Let somebody else figure out what we're doing.
Any other comments? I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor, you need to turn the microphone on.
Thank you. So, of course, I'm on the TTA board also, and certainly becoming OADA compliant is a big part of this, but in my mind anyways, when I was bringing a lot of this forward, it's more than that. It's the idea that we weren't able to build, you know, the new arena that we had been looking at, and it just became financially not the best project at the moment. So then it was looking at how do we make it a better experience in this building by putting a better front end on it, the double doors with proper foyer and nicer entrance, and improving the building for however long it's going to continue to function as arena. And then when it's not functioning as a nice arena, it'll continue to function as some sort of recreational building down in the Mount Bridges area, so for the entire community. So there's more than just AODA, but in doing it, you do become AODA compliant, which is something we have to do. So there's two aspects to it. You know, the TTA board looked at it. They made a recommendation to council to go with the one plan. Everything they looked at was only the new foyer off the side, and then it was later that we adopted looking at the idea of building on the end by because, you know, Councillor Derbyshire brought it forward, and it's a great idea. Looks to be a little bit more problematic than perhaps I had thought in the beginning, but I do want to move the project forward. I want to continue to move the project forward and not stall out on it. Certainly it wouldn't be a budgetary item for this council. It would definitely run into the next term, but we can still move it forward. So I'd like to, and I'm not sure if we can put a motion forward during this or not, but I'd like to motion that council direct staff to move forward with the plan brought and recommended by the TTA board, and that we request of the TTA board immediately for their forecasted operational needs into the future. So what I'm commenting about there, your worship, and that wouldn't, I'll leave the wording there, but basically those operational needs is the responsibility of the TTA board, and we'd be looking at stuff like the flooring and all of those things that run the building as opposed to the renovations of the building. So then eventually, if we needed to, we can start to compile everything together, but I don't want to see this stall out. I think we have to move in a certain direction sooner than later. So I'll put that motion on the floor.
I'll second it. I'm going to speak to a part of this is I did visit Ilderton, and I've also visited Glencoe, and I hear from people in Glencoe they're not overly happy with the inside of their arena. They built a beautiful foyer, but when you open the arena doors, it's still the old arena. Went to Ilderton, they invested, I think, $4 or $5 million on the arena itself. Citizens there are happy. I talked to them. They're happy with the arena. To them, it looks like a new arena. So there was this, so just to do the foyer, as Deputy Mayor says, that building will be there for a while. We don't know what's going to happen with a new arena. That's a long way off. I've been quite honest with everybody. That's a long way off. I also do know, and this came out of my conversation with the MPP and his staff, the provincial government has put more funding into recreation dollars, and to the tune of millions of dollars. I don't want to see us, and I know this won't happen this term, it's going to, but we need something. We can go to the MPP and the provincial government and start asking for grants. We can't budget any dollars because we don't know the number. I agree with Councillor Derbyshire, this is going to happen next term, but we need to start applying for grants. We can't go to our partners, the Chippewa, the Thames. People tell me go talk to Chief Muskokum, and I can't talk to Chief Muskokum because I don't know what we have. You go to the table, you need to have a number. So that, I agree with Deputy Mayor, and I know the Tri-Township Arena Board has done that. They have a list of things like lighting and flooring and cladding and painting. That's all I'm trying to get, folks, is let's get that number, an estimation. I'm not worried about how, when it's gonna happen. In order to go with the provincial government, we said we're gonna wait till some dollars are available. Somebody whispered in my ear, there are dollars available. Not saying we can get it, but we should do what we can, put our best foot forward. So Deputy Mayor.
I just wanted to let everybody know, the foyer project is not just the foyer.
No.
The foyer project includes a redevelopment of the canteen area downstairs, because all of that changes. The stairs inside would probably no longer be needed because they're going to be in the foyer. You have the lift upstairs, but there's the whole mezzanine level where there is, the air-conditioned, heated room that lets people get up close to the glass. There's AODA compliant washrooms on both floors. There is the blue room. There's possibly a boardroom upstairs. So there's more than just the foyer. I just refer to it as the foyer project.
Councillor Derbyshire, your hand was up there, Councillor Paul.
So the foyer project, and we talk about these rooms upstairs. One of the big things is we have no idea if the mezzanine can even support the extra weight of all the people. So you're gonna go and design this whole thing that's gonna look awesome with 2 washrooms and all this crap, and then you're gonna find out it won't even support the weight that's going up there. And that is a legitimate question that has not been asked. So this is what I'm saying to you. In order to get OAD compliant, you put a ramp in the corner. I mean, what's a wooden ramp cost us? You put 2 more swinging doors and you're OAD compliant. And then take the time. Yes, the government money's coming, but take the time and plan this out. Let's not just say we're doing something to say we're doing it.
Councillor Palmer, then Councillor Wilsey.
Yeah, I am in support of moving this forward. I was going to say the same thing as the mayor, that, the Ontario provincial government has indicated that there are funds available for projects like this. And in order to get it, we have to have a shovel-ready project. And I think we need to keep it moving forth. I'm not suggesting we rush, but we do need to get this into a design phase and a pricing phase so that we can go to the relevant parties and ask for some money. We don't want to miss the opportunity. My question was, and just in regard to your motion, I wanted to ask Director Lilborn what are the next steps to move this forward? I just want to make sure we've motioned this correctly for what we're asking for staff to move it forward. Because I'm not 100% clear on the whole development process here.
Through the chair to Councillor Palmer. The motion that Deputy Mayor has put forward helps facilitate moving things forward. So he's identified the foyer project that council's approved previously, as well as the TTA board. He's identified that, or maybe the worship identified that TTA staff have a current list available of work that needs to be done. I would suggest that once that information is compiled completely together, that staff get a hold of it, and then we start looking and see if there's other areas that may have been missed, such as energy conservation. Is there a way that we can reclaim heat off the refrigeration plant to eliminate the CO2 from using natural gas, and so on. So there's other areas that we may want to look at, but until we get that information, we won't be able to move anything forward at this time.
Sorry, Councillor Wilsey had his hand up, Deputy Mayor, so I'll go to Councillor Wilsey.
So with this, from what we looked at council before, I thought it was just the entryway. There was maybe some hinting that we might do something inside, but now it looks like it's a whole renovation of the entire inside. When I was at the fire hall, we had a presentation on barns, and any barn that has a major renovation needs to be built to the current fire code. So that comes into it's listed right on the drawing about having 5,000 square feet and then needing sprinklers. And one of the big downfalls of this one being at the end is that it was going to need sprinklers. But if we're doing a major renovation, we're going to need sprinklers throughout the whole thing anyways. So I don't really see that as a downfall to the other one. The other part that I'm wondering is if we have to take out the stairs and remove the cantina and we're knocking down walls and looking at how strong everything is, are we even gonna be able to get that done in a season? Are we maybe a 2-year with no ice? Like, if we were to build an addition at the end, we could do that and start some of that stuff and maybe not lose the ice. If we're gonna take out the whole entryway and remove stairs and rebuild buildings, I don't think there's any way we get that done in 4 months. And then do we lose 2 years worth of ice? We don't even know that for what we're deciding on.
So I'll let the deputy mayor, he'll chime in.
So, next steps. All I'm asking for is that we move forward on that project. Didn't say we're doing it, just we're moving it forward. Okay, because we need to identify a project. And we want the report from the TTA board, right? Because they're our partners in this. The next thing that'll be coming forward, because we've already asked for it, is a C-class costing from A-Link. So that's being developed. It should be ready shortly. I've already spoken to Director Littleborn about that. That's coming up maybe the next meeting or the meeting after. 3 weeks? 3 weeks. We should see the C-class costing. Once we see the C-class costing, then we can make a decision whether we want to continue with it or is it outside of our price range. So then we make that decision, and then we've done these big projects before, right? So then we see what it looks like. A-Link's already been in there. They've already done their preliminary scan of the building. They have a lot of those answers for us already, what it holds, capacity, all of that type of stuff. All we're asking in my motion is to say, this is the project, let's take a look at it. The C-class costing is coming to us. That's when we see a number, we decide, do we want to move it? Can we afford to move it? And if we do, then we move it to a B-class costing and we keep refining it down. Actually doing the work, and to your point, Councillor Wilsey, do you have to do it over 2 seasons or how do you do it? That'll be a later discussion. I don't have those answers, but those would be coming out as you get into a B-class or an A-class costing, I think, because now you're going to have your electricians in there, your plumbers in there. All of these people are going to start telling you how long they need on site. And that would have to be developed up with A-Link as your architect. And then we have to work with the TTA staff, probably with our staff, to start putting a game plan together about how this happens and whether there's maybe the council of the day has to make a decision whether you do part of it now and part of it later or all of it at once or whatever. I mean, those are decisions. If we don't do something, it's not going to happen. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Councillor Derbyshire.
Great. Don't do anything, do what you want. You're picking a project just to pick a project. If we're looking at, oh, we're going to get government grant money, so are we paying for this ourselves or are we looking to get a grant? And if you're looking to get a grant, why would you not be looking to expand the building, to make the building better? Like if you only want to spend $1.8 million, then perfect. We can cover that ourselves. We don't need to worry about a Class A costing. We know what we're going to do if that's what it costs to do the foyer. But if you're thinking there's government grant money coming out and we want to get a big chunk of this, well, a $1.8 million project isn't going to get you a big chunk of it. You got to be looking at doing something productive. And in this thing, it says, oh, you need this and you need that. But they didn't give us a cost, which I do believe we asked for, a rough drawing and some costs, a rough cost, kind of like the first thing we got for the other project. And the other thing is, all it did was really talk about what wasn't good about it and nothing good about what actually got accomplished by doing this. So, to me, we didn't really get the thing forward. Like even to say you're 30 meters away, you know, and then I have a conversation and they say, well, actually, the Gemini goes out the back door downstairs. Well, wouldn't that be a solution here? But instead, we wrote right off, you know, and then the sprinkler thing's perfect. If it's a major renovation, are we putting a sprinkler in regardless? Like, this is what I'm saying. I know it's an election year and I know everybody wants to say we're doing something, but doing the wrong thing or half-ass hazardly running into something to say we're trying to get money and this, that is the wrong way to go about this. If you would need to be OAD compliant, which is what that building needs to be OAD compliant. So get OAD compliant and yes, figure out through the process of this. If it's going to cost us $4 million to shore up that mezzanine, are we doing that then? Or are we already fully committed to that mezzanine project and that's it, we're done? Like this is,
Any other comments? Councillor Kennis.
I really don't have a lot to say on this, other than 4 years ago, at this time, we were busily beavering away with a bunch of committees trying to come up with plans to build a new arena, and that went nowhere. And a lot of those meetings were a waste of time because, again, we didn't have any numbers because nobody knew what this thing was gonna cost. So I think it's good to have numbers. I could speak from my experience with the Wright Center. You know, we've been struggling for 2 years trying to figure out what we're doing, and we finally got a decent cost estimate, so we know what it's going to cost, and now we know what we have to work towards. So I, just from my inexperienced look at life, I would say you got to get some real numbers to show people, and I think the people that use that arena deserve to see something moving forward, something that they can put their teeth into.
Thank you. Councillor Brennan, then we'll bring it to a vote.
I concur with Councillor Kennis, and I take a look at the process we went through on the Police Service Board over the last 4 years to go from Class C to Class B to Class A costings on the renovation of the building. And we went through that process, and something's happening. I hopefully go through this process for this building, and something will happen. So that would...
Yep, what Councillor Derbyshire, I'm going to bring it to a vote.
So I'll just make my last statement when I presented it all to everybody. I said, if we get drawings drawn up, instead of going through Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, because you know you're just adding an addition onto this, and really it's taking steel clad off of the other building, because this is essentially an airplane hangar. So you're not redesigning the wheel here. You know what it's going to cost you. Send it out to RFP. Don't do all this. Send it out to RFP with, here's our drawings. This is what we want to build. Give us the lowest price. Instead, we're going to do 900 costings on this other thing and possibly spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for somebody to tell us what we need to do, how we need to do it, this way and the other way. Send it out to the people that build the building and say, this is what we want. I mean, it was pretty close. What they gave me was $400 to $450 a square foot. You know, but we didn't get anything back with this, even a small number of this addition is going to cost you $4 to $5 million. You don't have a clue what it costs.
Okay.
But we're moving forward.
No, you have a second motion. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Councillor Derbyshire, you had 7.3, all the BIA. Let's deal with all those together, okay? No.
7 point.
7.2.
No, I didn't bring up.
No, 7.3.1, 7.3.2, and 7.3.3, all the BIA.
So my BIA question, and I think it was answered somewhat by the presentation where he said it hasn't done anything or been organized. Because as a local board, I went back and I looked at it even on our website, the 2024 meetings aren't there at all. Like, there's no meetings. We haven't seen a meeting. We're now getting all the 25, 20 this, like all of these meetings are now coming forward here. So it's all put on the same agenda that they want to increase the levy. Now, as long as it's only coming out of that and they're willing to do that and you can change the budget so we can collect it from them, however that works, I'm okay with that levy change. But as a local board, I do think they have to begin to follow some of the local board rules, or why do we even have the board?
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you, Councillor. The levy that was approved at their AGM, it's one of those ones where all the little bit of training we got when we took office, the one thing that wasn't covered was the BIA and the bylaws. So thanks to Councillor Palmer who read the bylaws, that's why we came tonight. Right? So we did approve it as per line item in the budget, and when that came forward, I questioned the director of finance. That's how it's happened all in the past. It just came as a line item. But I do agree with you. There has to be some cleanup. I sit on the BIA, Councillor Kennis. There has to be some, and as the chair of the board, Dan Keegan, said, there's been some transition. They've been through a couple of chairs and presidents, so they're aware of that. Now that I've read the bylaws myself and I'm aware of them, you're going to hear a little more from me sitting on there. They have to do their diligence properly. So I'm actually in agreement with you, Councillor. There has to be some tightening up. Yeah, Councillor Kennis.
Yeah, if I could just comment on that as well. As the mayor mentioned, there was certainly staffing issues in the chair spot has changed twice in the last year. Yeah, it's just a matter of, the minutes were there, we approved the minutes at the meetings, they just weren't passed on to the, whoever they need to go to here to be published at the meeting. So the BIA is in a better spot now than it's been in a long time. Mr. Keekins is taking it seriously and doing really a good job getting organized. The BIA reorganized, and as he said, there's an employee coming on now that some of the work that I've seen, just preliminary work, goes a long way to improving the operation of the BIA and the information that will be coming forward in the future. And as you said, the increase in the levy was approved at by the members, which are the BIA members, at the October annual meeting last year.
Yep, Councillor Wilsey.
Yeah, this was just, I think it just got answered by Councillor Canis, but that this was already done back in October. It was already in our budget and already part of the taxes. So this was something that didn't come. This was just because they realized they had to bring it to council, but it's already been in the budget. I guess my question is if it hasn't been working or been doing what it's supposed to do for the last few years, have the taxes collected been put into a reserve, or were they spent, or what happened to the levies from the last 2 or 3 years?
I can answer that, but I know Councillor Canis.
Yeah, so actually there was quite a surplus reserve in the BIA prior to the hiring of a staff member, and last year reserves were used to pay for the staff member. This year, the committee as a whole, and I think the BIA in general found that having a staff member available to assist in various projects and programs and all that kind of stuff is the way to go. And as was mentioned in Mr. Keegan's presentation, we're one of the few BIAs not to have a staff member. And as our town grows and as the BIA grows, it's becoming apparent that having a full-time or part-time staff member to promote the works of the BIA and to work with them. It's almost like a condominium corporation, I guess, that the BIA members are part of, and they need someone to manage the BIA. So I think I expect to see better things in the future.
Okay. So with that, after we receive all the other consent agenda items, we're going to have a short recess. So motion to receive 7.1, 7.2, 7.1.3. Let's say exclusive of 7.2.1 to receive for information. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Pammer, all in favor? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn until 8:50. Recess, I'm sorry. Same word. We're going to take a break, folks.
Until what? You said 8:50?
8:15.
Oh.
I didn't get out, I got corrected. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Pelkman. All in favor? We are in recess.
Call swings for recess.
dual door, the double door here, not all that. Put the
Motion
concession
to
back.
reconvene at 8:12. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Kenneth. All in favor, motion carries. Reports from departments, the financial services, the 2026 borrowing bylaw for operating expenditures. Motion of this bylaw be referred to the consideration of bylaws section. Councillor Pelkman, second by Councillor Kenneth. Are there any questions of Director Dakin? Councillor Pelkman.
Not a question, just a comment for the public if they didn't see it. I did note in the report that we don't anticipate that we will have to borrow, but this is here as just in case so we can keep the doors open and the municipality operating.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion? Motion carries. Community services, this is 40 Metcalf Street West, surplus property. The motions are the council approve deeming the property of 40 Metcalf Street West surplus, the municipality's needs, and direct staff to proceed in accordance with municipality's disposition of land policy. And further, that a bylaw be brought forward to a future meeting for consideration and approval. Someone to bring a motion. Councillor Kenneth, second by Deputy Mayor. Wish to speak to it a little bit, Mr. Littlemore, or just go for questions?
I'm available for questions.
Is there any questions? Deputy Mayor, then Councillor Pelkman.
So I like the report. I noticed at the back end of the report, at the back end of the report, there was and I'm just looking for it, but basically, instead of taking the entire property, we would keep that grass area closest to the intersection for ourselves. And I'm wondering if Councillor Kenneth made the motion?
No, it was Councillor Kenneth.
Kenneth, would you consider a friendly amendment such that essentially the grass triangle of that property be severed off and retained by the municipality with the actual building and I'll call it the paved lands around it being made surplus?
That's fine with me. Oh, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Councillor Pelkman.
I do not agree with this at all. So currently, we're storing a lot of stuff in that building. Are we gonna have to build something to replace the storage for all that stuff? Or what are we doing with the stuff that's in there?
Through the chair to Councillor Pelkman, with the revitalization of 137 Frank Street, we'll be transferring the items that are stored in 40 Metcalf into 137 Frank Street in the workshop at the back of the property.
But when we look at the complete plans for 137 Frank, is that not to be utilized for other purposes?
Through the chair to Councillor Pelkman, that is part of the revitalization of 137 Frank Street, was to include that back end as storage in a workshop.
Right. The main reason that I oppose it is I'm looking into the future of not just 5 years from now, but maybe 15 or 20 years from now, and maybe it comes sooner. But someday there's going to be a transit system in town, and this is to me the ideal place where routes will intersect, and we're going to need that piece of property for a transit office and to have a place where people can get off a bus that maybe goes east-west off Metcalf, going from the arena to the industrial park, as opposed to taking a bus that's going north-south, going to the different commercial corridors. I see this as the ideal spot for that because it is at a key intersection in town and right close to downtown. So I don't believe we should be getting rid of this property. I think we should be taking a much longer viewpoint at it, and because I think we're going to need it.
Okay. Councillor Pammer, then I'll give it to you, Councillor Wilson.
I'm not in total disagreement to what Councillor Pelkman is saying, because we've always talked about this being kind of an interesting corner, and who knows what might need to happen there in the future. My only thing is, having real estate just sitting there doing nothing besides being a storage shed kind of bothers me. It's a bit of an eyesore. If the thought was that we retain it and we revitalize it, which we've talked about before, but the cost was quite prohibitive. So I don't know, just to have a building sit there and rot for 25 years until we need that corner doesn't seem like a really good plan either. Because I'd be interested in looking at another plan for the building, but for me, we need to do something with it or get rid of it. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. Councillor Wilsey had first, or Councillor Derbyshire?
Just to confirm, the parking lot that's immediately south in the picture, we own that, right? Is that ours?
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey, yes, that is ours.
And what we're looking at severing is just the building portion where the property line looks like it almost, by the picture, goes like right against the corner of the building, and based on the motion that was changed, we're only looking at the paved portion as all we're severing and declaring surplus. So the property line, none of the parking lot, just the building and like the 10 feet of pavement around is all we're looking at surplus right now. I just want clarification on that.
Through the chair with the amended motion, you are correct. Where the 40 is on the drawing and the green areas around it, like the green lines.
The green lines, so excluding that green triangle, so just the building and like the 10 feet of pavement.
Correct.
Okay.
Councillor Derbyshire?
Thank you. That kind of leads into my question of when we sell it and if we sell it, what will then be able to go there? Because they're not going to have much parking at all, which then opens up our whole back parking lot to be parked in by whoever buys it, unless it's going to the existing business beside, which we try to deal with. And is there even enough room with that small piece with the grass taken off there to put anything on there? Would be my next question. Like, what exactly will be left for someone to do with? I don't know who to ask.
Director Littleton.
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, there would be very minimal parking if you were to cut off to remove the green portion, the grassy area. One of the reasons why this property was purchased a number of years ago was with regards to that intersection, and the thought at the time was it could be utilized for a roundabout. In conversations with the county engineer, he has indicated that there was no need for that corner. They'd be more interested in another piece of property if they were to look at that, but 40 Metcalf in their short-term or long-term plans.
Any other comments, questions? There is a motion in front of you. Second motion, all in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Engineering and Public Works, the tree maintenance services tender award. Motion is the council award a tree maintenance services contract to Summit Tree Services based on the submitted hourly rates. I'll bring the motion. Deputy Mayor. Second by Councillor Derbyshire. Are there any questions of Mr. Easton? Councillor Wilsey.
Through you to the director, I'm wondering if you could speak to the difference in the budgeted number plus the approved budgets. There seems to be about a $30,000, $37,000 deficit between the tender that came in and the budget between the two departments.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wilsey. So this is an as-needed hourly contract, so the actual cost will depend on the operational demand. For tendering purposes, we used a standardized 300-hour estimate, just so that all the bids would come in comparable. So it all depends on the operation demand, and if we do go over in the tree maintenance operating budget line, we'll just manage it through the operating budget as a whole. And then in 2027, we'll just budget accordingly.
Any other questions? All in favor of the seconded motion? That motion carries. The 2026 tar and chip recommendation, motion to council direct staff to proceed with tendering. So bring motion. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kent. Any questions for the acting director? Clarity. Seeing none. Sorry, you're
Sorry.
slow off the mark there, Councillor.
It's not for the acting director. I remember we had a conversation, and this is probably more at budget time, about, what was the road in there between, it was between Old and Century down. No, it wasn't Sutherland, it was farther. Mallard. Was that, did we not come up with something on Mallard? It's not, I think this might be more of a budget question as opposed to I just thought of it now, Walter, sorry.
I can answer if you're.
Yeah.
I recall, Councillor, we had a discussion about Mallard, but I don't think there's any specific direction given, if that's what you're looking for. I don't recall specific direction being given to do. I think that's where you're going, right? If there was specific.
I was. I
don't remember.
I just was thinking about it now that we had said we should look at finishing that one off in the thing, which I know you didn't prepare. This was prepared long before you.
Yeah.
But I believe that we had said it's probably worthwhile doing that road because it's the only one in that kilometer for, I think it's on that, like almost that whole side of 81 highway. So the grader's going over there to do that when everything else is.
No, I know where you're going. I don't recall a specific.
Okay.
But I recall the conversation though. Councillor Pelkman.
My comment's not really to change anything, but I know we've received complaints in the past about the section of road on Sutherland between Calvert and Walkers. As the town has been growing, there's been a number of people using that as a shortcut or a workaround of going to the corner of Caradoc and Carroll. And I wonder if maybe we can start collecting some traffic data on that to see if that's actually warranted or not. And I also know that one of the residents that lives on there was complaining about the mounding of the road, that over the course of time we've built the road up that's now significantly higher than his driveway, and he's having to keep repairing the asphalt in his driveway because the water's collecting in his driveway. So just wondering if maybe we could look at that to see if that's something in the 2027 operational budget that we could look to repair or fix, because I don't think that's just going to be an easy take a grader down there and start shaving gravel off. That's probably going to be a bit of a rebuild. So if we could look at those in the future.
Other comments? See none. All in favor of the motion in front of you? Motion carried. Economic development, downtown revitalization consultation. Two motions. Council directs staff to lead background research and review, undertake preliminary stakeholder consultations, consolidate information, and retain artists to prepare professional renderings. Staff will also facilitate 2 Strathroy public consultations and 2 Mount Bridges public consultations, and further, an upset amount of $40,000 that is funded from the Future Needs Reserve be approved. Someone to bring a motion. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Pelkman. Are any questions? Councillor Pelkman.
Just a quick question. The Arcadis option that's on there, that's what was presented to us before, is that correct? So I'm actually kind of disappointed that it's on here, because it makes it look like we've kind of been pushed into this direction already, and that's when people say, well, why are you consulting me when you already have a design in mind? So I just want the public to know that this is not what we're considering, and we're starting from scratch. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Pelkman, the reason that the Arcadis presentation was included in the council is those will be the initial drawings that we will use. We've already paid for them for the stakeholder consultations.
But I feel like we should be listening to the stakeholders before we provide them with a visual. I feel like if we present this with them, it's already, we've put the apple in front of the cart for the horse to follow.
The purpose is to initiate conversation. It's not to say here's the concept. It will be part of a consultation process. It will have carefully procured questions and initiations for conversation. But we felt that it's important to have something as a base point to start the conversations from, rather than just a blank screen.
Heather, if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just to help Heather out here. When we do park public consultations, we come in with 1 or 2 drawings already set up, and we look at the public and say, what do you like? What don't you like? Because we're not really happy with it yet. You know, this is like just kind of a stab in the dark. We want your thoughts. We want your opinions. Because a lot of the times, if you don't put something in front of the public, they're going to struggle coming up with ideas, right? So the idea was to initially take, as Director Lalonde has indicated, is to use those drawings as a stepping off point. It's not a finalized point at all. The drawings that may come back potentially will look completely different from what's been presented, but it is a stepping off point. No different than what we do with our park consultations.
Deputy Mayor.
Once again, my mind is going where Councillor Peltman was. So I understand why staff want to use the drawings. I really want the drawings to be based on the conversation and the evidence as that starts to come in. You know, I was not happy with the drawings in the beginning at all. You know, I really want the questions asked. Do you want an 8-inch curb? Do you want, because there's a real value to having curbing so people know how to park. Because I think London got it 100% wrong, what they did down on Dundas Street. It's an absolute disaster. Every time I drive down there, I just laugh. They got angled parking and people are parking in the wrong angle because they've cut across the street. It's just a mess. I'd hate to see us do those type of things here. You know, I want to know from the people, I want to know from the people downtown. Do you have too much garbage? Do we need more garbage cans? Are you happy with the boulevard idea? Or do you want more parking? Those are the, like, do you like the seating out front of your building, or do you find it causes you more problems than it's worth? So then maybe we need to relocate the seating, perhaps. That's what I'm interested in really hearing at the beginning of all of this. So, you know, I get the visuals. I 100% understand what you're saying. That's what I want to hear back when it comes back in front of council. I want to know what the issues are, what works, what doesn't work, what are the issues. It's for me, it's kind of that, I call it evidence-based. I guess it's not really evidence, but that's what I'm really interested in hearing, both from the citizens at large and certainly the BIA that are downtown all the time. The other thing I'd like to hear also would be snow plowing. Terrible winter this past winter. I didn't enjoy this at all. But for the manager, I'm not sure your role anymore, Walter. For Walter, the man of many talents, snow plowing. How do we deal with the snow on the sidewalks, and how do we get it off onto the road where now it can be properly dealt with after a nasty year that we haven't seen in many, many, many. So those are the type of evidence-based conversations that I'd like to see occur at many levels. Thank you.
Councillor Pelton.
Yeah, I do understand your point. I guess I'm okay with some of these visuals being pulled out, but not in a presentation format, to say these are ideas that could be used, but in this format, it looks like this is what is going to happen. And you know, for anybody who's read social media, you know, in the Mount Bridges section, it shows the Strathroy planters, and they're pretty clear they don't want any of those planters down on Adelaide Road and Mount Bridges. So I'm okay with taking, like, here was something that was done 2 years ago. Here's suggestions for how we can make the crosswalks nicer. Here's an option for the curb. You can have this or this. And I think that's okay, but definitely I don't want the public to see it in this form, because I think that's misleading and makes them feel like they weren't really consulted, that they're consulted after the fact.
Thank you. Any other
Councillor. You can go-
Sorry, Councillor Nancy will go over the other side, Councillor Chair. Then Councillor.
I agree with staff on this. I think it just is a drawing that gives people the opportunity to give their opinions from. And we already heard from people that they didn't like these drawings, so it doesn't, I think people are not shy about giving their opinions on these things. So I think it's fine, and it allows people to say what they think, and we should encourage people to say what they think and then make adjustments. And whatever we come up with, I can already tell you that not everybody's going to be happy with it anyway. And yeah, and I think the people that will give the most input will be the people that have their businesses and run their businesses downtown, and I'm sure they've got lots of thoughts on these pictures and other pictures they have in their head of how they'd like it to see. So I think you got to give them, to give them a blank piece of paper to start from. I don't think you're going to go anywhere.
We'll go over to Councillor Wilsey, and we'll go back over to Councillor Bishara.
My question was more just on the budgeting, just want to make sure that everything's clear, because when this came through before, there was budgeting that was applied to this that was also used for sidewalks, and I just want to make sure that all the initial budget for this project is now allocated to sidewalks, which is why the money is coming from the future reserves to fund this. And then the next steps after this will have to either come from future reserves or another budget. I just want to make sure all of those statements are accurate so that we know what we're doing when we're paying for this.
Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey, so that exactly the point why it's asking for extra funds here. So this is brand new money that's allocated. All the other money has already been allocated to the sidewalks, and that is being done and dealt with, and now this is going to be used for this project. And then any future work beyond will need funding as well.
Okay, well, Councillor Bishara, then Councillor.
Thank you. I mean, in Mount Bridges, I don't know how much say we have because it is a county road, so I really, I wouldn't put a whole lot of focus on, and it's not saying completely eliminate Mount Bridges, but understand Mount Bridges, we don't have a lot of control over your road, it's not our street. So we're limited with what we can do there. When it comes to Strathroy, I really feel like we have to understand that if it's the infrastructure below the ground, that really needs to be done here. I realize it's up top is what people are gonna look at, but when we're spending our money, we really need to focus on what we need downtown. If we are thinking about a couple high rises or somebody's thinking about putting that in, this is all that we should be thinking below the ground. Above the ground, we need parking. I realize inlets and outlets are very nice, but if our goal is to get people down here, if they can't park, they're not coming. So I understand we want to do something that looks somewhat modern, but the more parking spots we can get, I would say, the better. And our money should be spent making sure that if, a couple buildings go down and we want to build a 13-story, we're not replacing the main. Make sure we build the infrastructure below because we only want to do that once for another 100 years.
Good point. Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, that was my question was, while this is going on in this public consultation, are we also getting a better understanding of the infrastructure needs? Because that's going to be a huge part of the costing of the whole project. So is that happening at the same time? Because I haven't really heard anything about that.
Through the chair to Councillor Palmer, from conversations with the previous director, the underground drawings, underground design is about 70% complete. So that work has already been done. The reason it's at 70% is because if there are any adjustments to the surface level treatment, such as large tree wells for trees and so on, may require some rejigging of the design. So there will still be a little bit of design work that needs to be done, but not significant. So that work has already been taken care of.
Thank you. Okay, we have second motion. Oh, sorry, just under the wire there.
Yep, and just on the infrastructure, the work that's been done, I realize this plan is back from like 2019, 2020. Like it's been here for a long time. Are they looking at the new density numbers, the new provincial plan, where we might actually get a high rise? Because 6 or 8 years ago, we wouldn't be thinking of a 13-story high rise in downtown, and now our density has tripled or more. So are we reviewing it for new density numbers, or we're basing it on the work that was done, I don't know, before this council?
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey, those are all great points, and another reason why we're at 70%. So when we get to the point where we're going down, finalizing things up, those will be items that we'll be addressing. I can't speak with any validity to where we are today. I'm not an engineer and I don't work in that department. I would hate to put Walter in that position. So what I can tell you is that will be addressed when we get further down the line with regards to 100% drawings.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor of the motions in front of you? Councilor Derbyshire, sorry, I didn't call you. There you go. That in favor? Yep. Carries. Deputy Mayor, the County Council report.
Yeah, I have a couple of things, and I know we're late, so I'm going to run through this pretty quick. But County Council, at our last meeting, Deputy Chief Cushman and Civilian Supervisor Crystal Holmes from the police were in to talk to us, Strathroy-Caradoc Police, about the 911 system. So we do 911 for all of London Middlesex now. And the number of calls they handle has tripled since taking over that operation from the City of London, which I think was 2 years ago, maybe 18 months ago. So now they're doing, last year they did over 20,000 911 calls and just over 4,000 fire calls, so they're busy. Goes a long ways to why we're putting money into the building, because I think they're probably going to need some more staff at some point in time if they aren't already getting it. There was the employment land on another topic. Employment land readiness program. Adelaide Metcalf made a application to the county, so that's a new program. We took an old program and moved the money over into employment lands readiness. Adelaide Metcalf made a request. They want to do land readiness for industrial lands on from 402 north to Egremont, Center Road east to Newell Road. So they're looking at that large area there and doing getting that ready for industrial lands. $450,000 project is what they're looking at. They have $250,000 allocated with a $200,000 loan request from the county, which was approved, 0% for 5 years. So essentially what we're losing is the interest on the $200,000 over the next 5 years, probably around $18,000. But this is exactly what the program is for, so it's not a loss. I probably used the wrong word there. We approved, oh, I thought you were stopping me. Oh, we approved the county economic development strategy, 5-year plan. They call it going from context to action over the next 5 years. It's a $1.5 million plan. What a particular note is that our industrial and commercial growth has lagged in comparison to the residential growth. And of course, sitting at this table, we're well aware that industrial and commercial have the higher tax levies. So that's something that we need to work on at the county, and we'll continue to do that. On the MLPS, Middlesex London Paramedic Service front, we're just completing the Waterloo station right downtown London. So a really old station, you know, the old red brick. When I first saw it 4 years ago, now it's transformed into a very modern looking building. It'd be a beautiful building to have located in Strathroy someday, or Mount Bridges. So it's modernized, it's updated, it's carrying on a whole bunch of our programs. These are buildings that the county has bought, and now we're leasing them back to MLPS, so it's a good money maker. We're keeping the money inside the bigger organization, which is always helpful, and it came in under budget, which is always nice. So those are some of the things at the last meeting that are going on inside the county.
Thank you. You're younger, faster, and more well-trained than me, Deputy Mayor. I never try to cut you off. You had a question for me, did you?
Yeah, just on the items you brought up, I was reading the county council report as you were going through those. None of your items are actually on the report that's on the agenda. Are they?
Yeah, so that report's from March 10th, and I talked from our latest meeting. I have to look at the date.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So if you see the report in front of you is March 10th, and I covered some of that at the last time I spoke.
Okay, so what you're talking about should be on next month's agenda then?
Yeah, I'm usually out in front of it, but I want to bring it to your attention, particularly after speaking with you, and I know you follow these things, so I want to let you know it's there, and if there's of something interest, I can either get you more information, or of course everything is recorded and should be available online.
Thank you. Queries and announcements, Councillor Canis.
Nothing for me.
Councillor Wilsey.
Two quick things. One of them is just a note to anyone who's watching that if you look down at the bylaws, if you're interested, you'll see the approval of the $15 million grant for Strathroy. That's a milestone that staff's gone through, so if you want to see the terms and anyone's interested in digging deeper, it's there. The second question I had was I was looking through the budget and had some questions about reserve statements and things like that from 2025. And in the budget this year, typically when the budget process comes out, we get a full list. It's like 3 pages long, shows us all the reserves, where they're at. This year in the presentation, there was an annotated budget that had everything summarized with just general classes with only about 6 line items. I don't know if we're gonna see that document showing the 2025 reserves, what's allocated and where they're at, or when we can expect to see that update. It's normally part of the budget process and we didn't get it.
Yep. Director Dakin and I was gonna say you get that too in the audit, but Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey, I'll echo what the mayor just said, that those things are coming with the audited statement. So the detail will be there.
Just a timeline on that. Like, will that be in like the next, I know we approved the audit, do we know when that's coming?
So through the chair to Councillor Wilsey, I believe the auditors are in the building starting April the 20th. So by the time they finish off their work, it will probably be, I would suspect, the second meeting in June by the time you see your audit financial statement.
Councillor Brennan.
Just one quick item. One of the pleasures of having young grandchildren is seeing how they enjoy many of the recreational amenities that have been put in town over the years. Recently, I've had a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old on some nature walks on our trail systems, and over by the pool, we were playing on all the equipment over there and some of the parks around town. And you know, there's really a lot to do for young families, and I think I knew that already, but it's fun to experience it and see little kids having a lot of fun. So, and plus the programs down at the library too. So I just think it's just a nice thing to take a look at, and that's just my comment for tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Paul.
Yes, thank you. Last week at the Committee of Adjustment meeting, there was a fairly contentious item on Oak Street, and out of the discussions with the residents at the meeting and ones that I had before the meeting, there are some pretty serious traffic concerns on Oak Street. In a large part as a result of Ridge Street being open through to Park and Spence. And I promised them that at the next council meeting I was going to bring forward a motion, but of course that doesn't allow the time frame for this, since that was only on Thursday. So I'm just letting the public know that I have handed in the motion to the staff, so it will be seen at the next council meeting. So I'm following through in my word to the residents that we can put in some measures that can help with the traffic issues, and I'm letting Walter know that I'm going to bypass the traffic committee, similar to how we did on the north end, because I think we need to deal with it rather than end up hearing that maybe there's not enough traffic in the intersection to warrant a 3-way stop or something like that, because I know there's numbers involved there, but the practical reality is that the speed has increased on Oak Street and the volume of traffic has increased, and with the crosswalk there for the kids to go across to the schools, it's becoming a problem. So we have things that we can do to deal with that, and so just letting the residents know the next council meeting that motion will be coming forward to deal with that.
Thanks. Councillor Derbyshire.
I'm good tonight, thank you.
Councillor Campbell.
Nothing for me.
Deputy Mayor.
Just real quick, want to thank a whole bunch of community groups down in Mount Burgess, Melbourne, and Strathroy. With Easter, we had Easter egg hunts going on throughout the community. There was one for people with special needs, if I can put it that way. Then we had a whole bunch of Good Friday brunches going on. Lions Club, I know, did one. A lot of churches were doing them. I'll miss a whole bunch if I try to put them out there. So great community events, and it's kind of the kickoff to the summer when we see all of that going on.
Thanks. I only have one. We recently saw the announcement from the provincial government regarding, along with the feds, reduction in BCs, and I did speak to CAO today. Way ahead on the curve on this. There's a lot of information needs to come, so I'm quite certain at some point in time, staff's going to come with a report on the DC, what that means to us. I have gotten a couple of emails from developers. That's all they do. It's not enough to base anything on, but I have no idea how that affects our municipality, if it would, but just let council know that at the right time, the appropriate time, a report will be coming as to what the possible effects could be on us. So with that, council move into closed session. Council move into closed session at 8:48 p.m. for the purpose to discuss the following. One item in accordance with the council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes of March 16. And one item pursuant to section 239 2B of the Act as amended regarding personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Motion to go into closed. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Brennan. All in favor? Motion carries. And since we already had a recess, we will not have another. So we had a motion that closed session adjourned at 9:07 and open session resumed. We are back in open session. The council met in closed session and considered matters it is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act and is listed on tonight's council agenda. The following items were considered during the closed session. One item in accordance with council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes of March 16th, 2026. Minutes were approved as written. Two items pursuant to section 239(2)B of the Act regarding personal matters of identifiable individual, including municipal employees, a staffing update. Council received a verbal update and no direction was given to staff. Just before I go to the bylaws, are there any there that we're going to take off? Given up there wasn't? Okay. So motion to the bylaws in front of you be received for first, second, third, and final reading. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kenneth. All in favor? Motion carries. Reminder, there is a strategic priorities meeting on Monday, April 13th at 5 p.m. in the committee room. With that, a motion to adjourn at 9:08. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kenneth. All in favor? Motion carries. We are adjourned.